What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Builders of Web3 show. I have a very exciting guest with me today. If you're part of the VeeFriends universe, if you're on Twitter, you know Jeremy. Jeremy knows because Jeremy knows everything about VeeFriends. So Jeremy is the first VeeFriends fan account. He has the famous Heart Trooper profile picture I'm sure you guys have seen. Also the founder of VDAO and so much more. So I'm looking to learn today about Jeremy, his journey, and see where it takes us. So welcome, Jeremy.
Wow, that was a great intro.
Yeah, I
Thank
mean
you. Thanks for
you've
having me.
earned it. You've earned it in the Be Friends universe. Um,
Yeah, and I don't know everything about VeeFriends, but I do try to know everything there is to know.
yes, anything that nobody knows other than I don't think Gary knows everything about Be Friends because he comes up with new
It's
things every
true.
single day.
Yeah, well, he can't know the future. He can only know the moment.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for, right? So very passionate about the project. I know you are as well. So, but this
Yeah.
podcast, it's the man behind the Heart Trooper. I want to learn about you. I want to learn about how you got into this. So we'll start with, if you don't
Okay.
mind, just telling us a little bit about your background and how we got here.
Yeah. We got here by following our nose and sort of having to adapt to the world as it changes. So my background is as a theater performer and technician. Um, Very brief summary. When I graduated high school, I was interested in going into neurobiology. Wrote a college admittance letter in that vein. Was rejected. Went to community college. Had just started acting. Had maybe done like 5 or 6 theater shows for a couple of years. I was really liking it. So I took my general ed courses along with an acting class. And then like that balance started to like one acting class versus like all the rest. And then they started to even out. I was like, oh, I have more time for this extra design class or this one more show. And it was just going to be a fun thing that I did until I was old and could buy a theater or like open up my own company or something because I really enjoyed it, but I had no practical concept of what like building a career as an artist would look like. And I didn't really explore it. But then after my first year of community college, my counselor, the person who like
Hmm.
tells you what class you need to take to get where,
Yeah.
she told me that because all the science classes were impacted, I would have to do 4 years at that community college to transfer into the major I wanted in science, versus a full 2 years, one more year to transfer with an art degree.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that sucks.
Guess I'm doing
And
art.
and I had been doing more and more art and enjoying it and enjoying science less and less. Um, Probably more because of setting than content, really. And so, yeah, I made the switch. So I changed my major that day, and I focused on completing my general eds and doing some like more design courses, getting more well-rounded. I went to Fullerton College in Southern California, where I grew up. Um, Fullerton is like 20 minutes from Orange, city of Orange, where I actually grew up for most of my life, and they had a policy there where you needed to, if you were on stage, understand the mechanics of backstage. So like you need to understand like how to pull a fly and how to build a set and how to change costumes and how costumes were made and how lighting works and all the rest. That was probably the very best education that I ever got, and probably a large reason why I kind of ponder it from all angles, as it were. Um, so flash forward, I change my major. I apply to UC Irvine. I get in and I do a study abroad before I arrive. And that was sort of the pivotal moment where I switched from being a typical actor to being interested in collaborative and physical art. Because I went to Italy, I studied Commedia dell'arte, which is a Renaissance performance form. We can get into that. It deals with archetypes and improv comedy. It's a foundation of a lot of our improv comedy today.
Okay.
So it totally blew my mind. I had never been asked to really perform so much with my body as with words and do improv like that. And I was just hooked. So when I got to UC Irvine, I was very focused. It wasn't like, oh, I just want to be an actor. I want to go to Broadway. I want to speak words well. It was like, I want to work with people and make physically compelling stories. And I want them to be funny or strong or like, I want them to be powerful. And nobody was really doing that at UC Irvine. There were like two professors who were like interested in it, but they weren't teaching classes. So me and my friends, we started our own company, and it was called Clownma dell'arte, and kind of a weird name. It's sort of derived from like dogma and stigma and karma. We're trying to make clownma. There was at one point where we like actually tried to define it and make it very like thoughtful, and it was, but we were also just kids trying to like have fun and make art. So I know this is a short version. So with Clownma, we made like a dozen shows, like produced my first show in LA, went to the LA Fringe Festival, did a lot of gallery openings and events, some private stuff. And that kind of cemented my perception, my brand perception as a clown. and that was fine with me. I really that's what I was doing. And it was after that, a couple years later, like Clownma fell apart and I started teaching. So basically from 2012 actually, until 2018, I was working in theater. I got involved with another company in LA called the Rogue Artist Ensemble, went all into that company. They're doing incredible work with puppetry while teaching to pay the bills. So I taught clowning for kids in summer camps. I taught science, mathematics, but integrated with art. I taught music. I taught K through 12. I taught one-off classes. So got a lot of experience in-person performing and teaching young people. And then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't really do any of that anymore. And there's some twists and turns throughout that. But just before the pandemic, I was here in New York City on a job, and I met my now fiance, who we actually went to college together. We met in 2011. We were friends.
Yeah.
She was in graduate school. I was an undergraduate, and we just happened to reconnect this night for, a friendly dinner. And then we ended up falling in love. Within 2 weeks, I had booked a one-way flight back to New York City, and I intended to return to California in like December-ish. This was early November, and then I never left. And that was December. That was November 2019. So
COVID started 3 months.
COVID started, and then we just nested. And I mean, I knew when I came actually in November that I was like ready and available for a life with her forever.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty profound feeling, because I had never really felt that before. But the pandemic only gave us more that opportunity to like not get distracted from that possibility and lean into it. And now we're getting married this October.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. Yeah. Hey, love can do crazy things to you.
Absolutely.
But well, welcome to the East Side.
I know that was maybe a little more than you asked for, but that's
no. This is what I want to learn. Yeah, because right, everybody has a different path to how you get where you are, and I know we're going to talk about VeeFriends and stuff. But what's very interesting to me already is, if you had gone down the science path, right, and you didn't get involved with art, or maybe you would have never discovered NFTs, and we would have never been speaking today, So it's just like interesting how life could have been a totally different path. And who knows,
Absolutely.
where you could have ended up. But that is awesome. So I can more level like, okay, I see like you worked with kids and you like the artistic, very artistic side, so I can see kind of the drawing towards like the NFT world and all of that. But
Mm.
me personally, I am also I've been married for a couple years now, so it's great. We have a little 7-month-old today, boy.
Wow.
Um, yeah,
Awesome.
so it's been very interesting. Yeah, every time I have to buy something like a book game or something, or I can't decide, I just put him on the screen, even though he doesn't know what I'm talking about. I say whichever one you choose, I'm buying this one. When you're 18, I'll sign it over.
Oh my God.
But
Now
yeah,
that's a real strategy. That's a real strategy. Dollar cost averaging into book games for the next generation.
mm,
Don't even consider it in your wallet. Just this is not financial advice. I'm just
yeah. None of
it's
this
gonna
is
get
financial
interesting
advice.
soon. It's gonna be like we're I don't know, we're down to like 0.13 last time I
I
checked.
know.
Like
Yeah.
like it doesn't take a lot of new money to yeah. Anyway.
Hey, I mean, the stock market is not doing too great, so if
Yeah, it's been a really weird week, right?
it's been a very weird week.
Do you know, is there a macro event that people are attributing it to? Or is the conversation that like the
I
markets
think it's the
overall are inflated?
I think it's
Is it the
more of
US
like
dollar inflation?
there's the supply chain issues that are happening. There is the war that's happening. Always when the war is going down. Also, the one thing they are waiting is the interest rate hike. Depends how much it's gonna go up or down.
Mm,
So above us, if it raises above a certain point interest rate, they think a lot of the institutional investors are gonna put their money into bonds. So if they put their money into
mm.
bonds, stock is gonna go down even more. And once people start being afraid, it's just a never-ending cycle. People don't want to lose.
Right, right. The liquidations start to happen.
Right. But now that's why now it's a time to buy. But I mean, you see it with VeeFriends, with like I'm going with the Alpha Alligator raffle is today, and
Nice.
I had my Emerald frames ready because I didn't want price to go down. And the raffle is today. It hasn't even finished yet. The price of emerald is going down from like 0.55 to zero point 0.5, then 0.45. I'm like, why are people selling emerald frames literally on the day? Like, you should at least test your luck or something. So there's definitely a
Yeah.
little bit weird of dynamics of what's happening, but
Obviously, there's going to be so many people with different strategies and like
right.
approaches, but I don't think it's people not wanting to test their luck. I think, I think a lot of us made what is now what we can now call a mistake of positioning our frames ahead of the friends list snapshot, right
Mm-hmm.
when the news came out. So we paid the double inflation. We paid
Yep.
for the utility of the burn and for the utility of the friends list.
Yeah.
So we saw everything come down after that, and that was fine. And if you did it right when the announcement happened, you paid like not quite so much as the peak, right? But I don't think it's that people are not like afraid to test their luck. I think it's that a lot of people got more than they needed to speculate on
Mm.
the rush because we
Oh, for
saw a
price.
pre-snapshot pump,
Yeah.
but these snapshots are not yielding the pump, but still giving us the fall.
I get what you mean. Yeah. And that I was one. So I had most of my frames before that, but then I needed some few, so I ended up buying. I'm like, okay, this is gonna keep
Same.
going up, and I kept buying.
I was like,
But
I want more book games anyway.
yeah.
Like I traded like half of my portfolio into Patient Lava, which like I would have been like I had one. I had
Yeah.
sold one, I was holding one, and I was like, I had no interest in playing the like Patient Lava Burns first game because I didn't understand it. We didn't know what it meant. And
Right.
then once the Minakawa was revealed, I was like, oh, this is a character I actually really like.
Yeah.
Like this is very cool. And I like the mindfulness too. Like I'm interested in that. I'm glad I did. Like I got 3 sets. I won one. So I'm getting one Minakawa. Like totally set with that. But I also, we all thought like get them while they're hot and they'll be hotter later, not
Yes.
realizing we were making it hot and it was going to cool off.
Yeah, I mean, I had
Yeah.
so it's definitely gonna be interesting. But I think the good thing is that I love that we're recording this, and this is why I want to have the conversation, so we can look back 20 years from now and talk about like remember when book
Wow.
games were 0.13? I don't know what's gonna happen. Might be lower, might be higher by then. Hopefully,
Let's
it's higher by then. But
let's check. Let's check. Yeah, it's 0.13 today. Clear frames are on the floor. No hollows. The
I've
hollow
been buying
floor.
hollows for like 0.18 and stuff, and I'm like just buying them up. I don't care what frame it is, as long as it's a hollow right now, or like the lower ones. I've
Yeah.
been buying it for like floor price. So,
Hollows are
uh,
0.15.
yeah.
Yeah, and then but there's a bunch under point two. It's really fascinating. And even like the empathy hollow, which is one of the like
Yeah,
lowest quantity, was trading like 1.5 ETH or more, is point 7, point 0.8.
yeah.
Super interesting.
A lot of good opportunities to buy right now. But
Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, what am I going to see if I go to the special? The hologram specials are at 4 ETH, and specials and generals are, yep, under 3.
I bought my paper hands pony when it was 6.5. Right now, there's ponies for like 3 and stuff. I was like, oh my
It always
God.
burns when that happens.
I know, but hey,
Always
I'm just
burns.
want to buy more right now. If I had the resources, that's what I would do, but not financial advice, of course. So,
Yeah,
uh,
it's a long game in this one
yeah.
for
So
sure.
let's go back a little bit and now take. I know we're like I get very excited when I talk about VeeFriends. Um,
Absolutely.
so you are doing your thing. You find your fiance. The pandemic starts. How did you get into the VeeFriends? How did you end up starting the first VeeFriends fan account? And like, is that when you discovered it? Have you known Gary's content for a while?
Yeah, so I was into crypto from the end of 2020. Um, I have a story like many people where I had that one friend who called me in
Yeah,
late 2017. He was like, "You gotta buy Bitcoin," and I did, but I had very little money. So
yeah.
like, I got on the phone with him. I opened up a Coinbase. I spent $250. I bought Bitcoin at like $6,000, and then I saw it go up, and I saw it go down, and I was like, "Ooh, and I like $250 at that time was a lot of money for me,
Right.
but I wasn't about to sell it at a loss. I did later because I had bought some Ethereum as well, and I bought a full Litecoin. I was like, this is one I can afford.
Yeah.
I bought a full Litecoin, and I traded it into Ethereum at some point, like just before it pumped. That was like a learning lesson. But that was at a time where I just started to dollar cost average. Like that same friend was talking to me all through 2020, all through DeFi summer, and being like, I'm invested in what is synthetics, SNX. He's like, I'm doing great on this coin. And he's the kind of guy who like actually gets into the tech. He's not just
Mhm.
speculating on coins. Like he actually knows what he's investing in. And I would listen to him. He's like, yeah, I'm earning this interest. I made these gains. I haven't sold because like this, that, this. And I'm like, wow. I got the notification, in March when Bitcoin was at $5,000. And I was like, oh, wow. That's like a really good deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I had no money. So anyway, end of the year, I was like, I got to get in on this. Bitcoin had just surpassed the all-time high and it was still going. So I started doing $10 a day into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. And I think Bitcoin was at like 27,000 at the
Okay.
time. But that was as it was running up to its first 40K hit. And I did that for about 2.5 months until my savings ran dry. And I got into it, right? Like I told a couple friends, specifically my friend Tyler. I was like, "Hey, man, he's a really good dude, artist type. Works as a manager at GameStop. He's got a very stable job. He's
Yeah.
got he's got a wife and 2 stepkids. Like he's very much like their father. Like he like really found a spot for himself during the pandemic, but it also feels, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but I don't think he does. Like he was feeling a lot of fear and doubt and like and conflict with the theater industry being shut
Yeah.
down, and like that like literally grieving the loss of our industry.
Yeah.
So I had turned him on to crypto as a means of like, this will help. Invest this way. Do a little bit, like 5% of your paycheck. Just throw it in there, please. And he did, and he started to see the gains. It's
Yeah.
always easier to keep people around when they see the gains.
Yes.
And I also turned him on to GaryVee like a year prior, around Tea with GaryVee time. So I had been watching GaryVee since 2015 and had completely forgotten about everything he was doing. Like, love the guy, know he's doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
Really a fan of his like pull from both ends philosophies. But like I didn't have time to watch his videos every day.
Too many videos.
Yeah, too many videos. But Tyler was actually relying on them for some perspective and some like, support. Yeah. So when he started to talk about NFTs, he put together that NFTs were crypto, he was like, hey, are you watching this? Do you know what this is? And that was maybe a week, 10 days before the drop.
Okay.
And so then we started to watch it. And at that time, Gary was saying have 0.5 to 1 ETH in your wallet. And I was like, awesome. I have that. I had just shy of 1.5 ETH. And Tyler had about half an ETH. So I lent him the other half. And we were like both ready with our one. And we were following it or whatever. I think I got in the Discord on like the second or third day it was open.
Okay.
At the end of April. I didn't really spend any time there, but I was like starting to pay attention. And he and I and a third friend who were all sort of following this together, Alex, we were all ready to buy this thing regardless of what it was, because of the way he positioned it. He's like, This is a new technology. You're going to be better served by knowing this. This is basically the only way to invest in me personally, which was like highly appealing. And think of this as a long-term 45-year investment. And for like a 29-year-old artist with like $2,000 in stocks, like I'd love a nice 40-year investment.
Yes.
So as you know, the date was set for May the 5th. And the night before it got postponed for some kind of technical issues. So, and the same day, Gary changed the message from at least 0.5 to have 3 ETH in your wallet. And I was like, that's a really big difference, Gary.
Yeah.
Like that's like ETH is moving right now. You were talking about $8,000. It takes me a couple months to make that. So I didn't know what he was talking about, and he didn't communicate, or maybe I missed it, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't clear that it was going to be a Dutch auction. That it was like 3 ETH if you want to like secure the bag, and 0.5 if you're willing to wait. So all of that to say that gave me a perspective of, I don't have this locked in. This isn't a sure thing. And so I was ready the morning of May 5th with all of our mutual ETH, because we were like, 1 is better than 0.
Yeah. So
together we had like 4.3 or something. And I was the one trusted with doing it because I was the most into it. I already had a MetaMask like months prior. Like I was in and ready. And then, and I was there on May 5th, like just in case they figured it out. Like I didn't want to miss it. And so I was there when they released the website, and Gary's doing this press on the news, and then he goes over to the Bankless podcast, and I'm looking at the website, and it reminded me of Commedia dell'arte. It reminded me of archetype stock characters that the stories can iterate. It reminded me of like cartoons and children's education. Yeah. Like the art really never bothered me. Like I wasn't concerned about simple art. Mm-hmm. I find it highly creative nonetheless, but besides it's like not refined, I still find it very creative. And I honestly laugh when people like demean the art quality of VeeFriends without ever trying. Like there are a lot of like true like technical artists who can say, oh, that's very easy, because they have years of experience. But like take a marker to a piece of paper. Like these animals are actually like pretty well proportioned. Like there's style in the artwork. There's hints and like personality in it. Like I think people underestimate how difficult a simple thing can be, but that's beside the point. So I was watching the website. I wasn't sure I could afford it. I had the ETH to get one for us all mutually, and we saw VCon. We're like, one thing gets you 3 tickets?
Yeah.
Perfect.
One for each person.
Exactly. We were on the phone. We're like, we'll get one, and each of us can go 1 year, and we'll just figure it out as we go. Like we don't have to make that decision now. And then I also saw the Sorcerer Scholarship, and that was the impetus for everything that's happened over the last year.
Yeah.
So as you know, but for your audience, like the Sorcerer Scholarship is a set of 5 1-of-1 tokens in VeeFriends 1, and the holder of them is selected by application only. They receive 5 hours, no, not quite 5 hours, 5 45-minute sessions, so like 4 hours with GaryVee in direct mentorship with him and the other sorcerers, 30 hours with his executive staff, like his COO, his CMO at different companies. You know, I'm sure he's bringing in a mix of people to give them more mentorship and like directed education, and a nominal internship at a Vayner company of your choosing. So you can decide to internet VaynerMedia or VaynerX or Vayner Sports or Vayner NFT or what have you. And in the video where he explains it, he actually says, like, if you hold this token, we will be lifelong friends. And it was just like the most ridiculous value offer. I remember being in the Discord and I said to him, I said to him, quote unquote, like I posted to the Discord. I was like, this is GaryVee's first physical school. And he replied, he said, I know, which was very rare at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, he tries, but like I think it was the first reply I ever got from him.
Yeah, because a lot of people message, so it's very hard to get like.
Right. I mean, even at that time, there were probably 100,000 people in the Discord. So it said application only. I knew that GaryVee was content focused, content king, content is queen, context is king or whatever. So, and I knew the whole document don't create philosophy. I had tried it for myself many times, but I always fell off because I got tired of talking about myself. So I just took Gary's content model and I applied it to winning this token by providing value to the VeeFriends community. Like it actually happened very fast. And I usually don't tell the story this way, so you might find it interesting. But like, I'm at my computer. Gary is on the Bankless podcast, and I saw like in a flash, I kind of see the future a little bit, where I'm like, okay, document, don't create. I should make an incredible Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok resume for myself and give as much context about the things I've done, my clowning background, my teaching background, my puppetry, my interests, and like make content every day about why I'm such an interesting person to be the Sorcerer Scholarship. And then a fraction of a second later, I was like, wait a minute, that's not valuable to anybody. Like, why? How can I build a community around like my vanity? I need to follow the model. I need to go 51-49. How can I provide value to GaryVee? Well, I can provide value to GaryVee by providing value to his community, which is VeeFriends. And at the time, there were very few people talking about VeeFriends. Like I could search the VeeFriends hashtag and reply to every single post because there were less than 100 of them, like in a day. And I would do that at the beginning. And I was like, okay. And like this all happened in a matter of like 15 seconds where I was like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'll try. I just like, gather the information and put it on Instagram. And I made an email. I made a TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and I just gave myself the simple goal of posting once a day and the reach goal of posting 64 pieces of content a day, which is his deck. And I also, in that moment, I like envisioned, I was like, okay, what does this look like if I pull it off? Well, if I do this well, I get Gary's attention and he gives me the scholarship, and like my life has changed. It wasn't worth like $100,000 at that time, but it was the value of that experience. And like, the token must be worth a couple ETH too.
Yeah.
Who knows what that token's worth now.
Yeah.
Then the alternative was I do it well, I get Gary's attention, but he doesn't give me the scholarship. And so what I'm left with a small following, and I can decide to keep it going or not.
Yeah.
The alternative to that is I don't get Gary's attention. I don't get anybody's attention. I make shitty content. I decide to keep going or not. And the last version is kind of what's happening now, which is I don't get Gary's attention. I get the community's attention. The community leads to Gary's attention. I don't get the scholarship, but I become a bit of an influencer in the space, and I become an asset to VeeFriends over a long period of time. And in a worst case scenario, I become a character within the ecosystem that is VeeFriends. And like,
wait, so didn't you get to meet Gary now?
Yeah, now I've met him 4 or 5 times now.
Wow. So you did get Gary's attention.
It's wild. Well, like it was the anniversary yesterday. So like on my birthday, April 19th, I got to sit with him for an hour and a half, thanks to the generosity of a community member who had an access token. But like on the anniversary, I spoke to Andy Kranak, the president of VeeFriends, just like to check in.
Wow.
Because awesome. This is partly for my consistency, but also because of the power of this community. Like we've decided to like accept me as I am to do this thing for all of us. Like it's really anybody could be in my position, but the reason it's me is because I did it every day since May 5th. Like I've literally done it every day for a year. And yeah, anyway, so
that is awesome.
Long story over, I got started that day, and I didn't know that I would keep it going. Like Gary said, it was a 10-day launch event. So I thought, well, I'll do it for these 10 days. Then it was like, then they released the details of the application. It's going to be an essay. So I'll do it to the essay deadline on July 21st. So then it became 2 months. Then it was like, well, I can't quit when the application is in because it's going to take them some months to put out the answer. I was like, okay, I'll do that. So then, 2 weeks became 2 months, became 4 months, then became 2 DAOs where we went to Christie's and then the VDAO. And, I didn't get the scholarship, and now we just keep going. And a year later, we're doing our best.
18,000 followers, met Gary multiple times. And I see it, man. I mean, you're definitely an influencer because you somebody will it would have a basic question about like a clear token or something, and somebody will reply, "Why don't you just ask Jeremy?" I'm like, this stuff is like it's on funny, the website, right? But nobody wants to go on the website. Everybody's like, "Why don't you just ask Jeremy?" I'm like, Jeremy doesn't have all day to just sit on Twitter and reply to things. But I mean, it's good that you're the first person to think of. Like people don't ask Gary the question; they ask Jeremy because Jeremy knows, right?
Well. Yeah, and they would ask Gary if Gary was more accessible.
Right.
Like Gary, I really feel like he's quite as accessible as he can be, but I'm not running $1 billion business.
Of course, yeah. So you're like the unofficial chief of staff.
Yeah, chief of staff is not quite right. I like to call myself the VeeFriends encyclopedia.
Encyclopedia, yeah. I like that.
Someday I'll create the Wikipedia.
Yes,
and it'll be like all the fan folklore, canon and non-canon information about VeeFriends.
Yes. So what I really like I have a lot of takeaways from you, but for the people who are creating, right? So this podcast is about how do we create, how do you get
Mm,
started and stuff. And what I love about your story is one is like just like what Gary's saying, just document, don't create. Same thing with me. Once I started posting content on LinkedIn, I was very active. I'm still active on LinkedIn, but it gets overwhelming if you're trying to come up with new things every single day. So then I would stop. And
mm,
then just starting to document and be like, oh, I'm working at work. So I'm data analyst, data science profession. I work for Google. And I'm like, I work on interesting projects. If I have a problem or something, right? I'm not gonna go into the details. Oh, this is exactly what I'm doing at work. But I'm like, hey, I have a problem with coding today, and this is how I solve this problem. So just documenting that is definitely very helpful for others who wanna start. I think the second takeaway is for you, like you said, is just start. It's never
mm.
gonna be perfect, and I think that's a big takeaway for me for VeeFriends Series One. I think Gary V could have taken all this time and just gone straight to Series 2, right? But it would have taken him an additional year. I think he wanted to get a project out there because he saw that NFTs were a thing, and I think he was like, let me start this, let me learn, and I'm gonna learn and improve as I go along. I think
Yeah,
that's another thing is because if you try to be perfect when you're starting this journey, you're never gonna be fully ready. So definitely just
yes.
start somewhere. I mean, uh, I talked to you offline about it when I messaged you, but I check out Jeremy's podcast. What's the podcast called?
It's called Jeremy Knows.
Jeremy Knows, and I listened to episode 0 is Jeremy going recording a podcast and saying, I'm trying to sign up to this platform. Let's see how it works. Like you were like at that point, you were like so
Yeah,
unprepared, but you started it, and now you have over like 300 episodes, which is amazing.
yeah. I think we're almost at 200. We're at like
200, 200, yeah.
177, I think. But I should update that episode, huh?
No,
Because
you should
because
definitely leave it to show people like, okay, just because you're not ready, it's just once you start, starting something like starting a habit is the hardest thing. But keep
yes,
going.
I agree.
But that is very awesome. How far you made it. So has it been a year? Yeah, it's been a year, right? Since you
It's been a
started
year of
all of this.
making content. Yeah. I
And
minted my first VeeFriend 360 days ago.
and are you happy you started this journey?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Man, I'm
awesome.
really happy. I was not in a good place when like I was doing okay, but like I was not it was rough last year, two
Yeah, I
years
mean,
ago.
COVID was
Like,
rough for a lot of people.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like the COVID depression or lack of the uncertainty, the it hit me a little later. Like I
Yeah.
ended up being more of a rock for the people around me. And then it wasn't until like April of 2021. Yeah, April 2021, where like my work started to slow down. I was like, I couldn't go back to creative arts. And I was like, I gotta find like a regular job because like I don't have a choice anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm privileged in that I live in New York City and I could go and look for a job and I was able to find a job and I got a job. But um but it wasn't about like the work I was doing so much as like the lack of direction and interest in like a vision for my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't really have like the clearest vision for my life. People are often very surprised that I don't have a like dedicated North Star. I'm not looking to get a job at VeeFriends like in like a ride or die way.
Yeah.
Like I'd love to work with that team. I'd love to learn from that team. But like my goals really revolve around um,
Being your best self.
yeah, of course, but more so like making enough money so that my partner can work
Mm-hmm.
less. You told me like you just recently had a child. Like I'd like to be in a position where I could comfortably like raise a child in like the next 3 to 5 years.
Right.
And I don't make enough money right now to be able to do that. And so it doesn't it doesn't really matter what I do to do that, but like obviously I want to enjoy it if possible.
Right.
but you know, there's so little that can be predicted in the Web3 space that, and I don't know, maybe I'm just bad at setting goals. I don't know. It could be a little bit of
No,
both.
I don't think so. I mean, that's just how you are. That's how I am as well. Like, I don't have like people are like, oh, what do you want to? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm like, I don't know. Like, home with
Yeah.
my family, hopefully retired, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, so that's why, like, I don't get attached to companies. Every company that I work for, I've enjoyed it, but at the same time, I'm like, if tomorrow something better comes along, I'll probably like switch, because work is work. For
Mm,
me and my family's like security, like you're saying, and happiness matters. So I got to do what's best
yeah.
for my family. But I think, I mean, Gary is the same way. If we're talking about the project, he's like, okay, I'm doing this now, and he's saying it's a forever project, but who knows what's going to happen to NFTs? Tomorrow the whole thing might crash, Ethereum, and so you don't
Sure.
know, you don't know where life is going to take you. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, just not knowing what's going to happen, right? I mean, this world is changing so fast with technology. You didn't think, if somebody asked you last year and you told them like, this is what you were going to be doing, or 2 years ago, you would have never probably guessed that. So maybe sometimes
Right.
it's better to just to just go along with it.
Right. For
Um,
sure. For sure.
but now you're very involved in the uh, Web3 crypto world, right? So you have the VeeFriends fan account with 18,000 followers. You have the podcast. You also have a VDAO. Now you founded the DAO.
Yeah.
Uh, you want to talk a little bit about that one? Because that's also very interesting. I mean, you're getting involved from like all angles of the Web3 space.
Yeah, I'd love to. So, yeah, the story of the VDAO, it really came out of a need within the community, on multiple levels. Like, yes, there was the mutual investment need, like people wanting to buy VeeFriends, not having the capital, understanding if we all pool our money together, we could do more. But there are investment laws in the States that sort
Hmm.
of restrict you from having shared ownership of an asset, if you can't provide like certain information about those people, and doxing and anonymity is like a thing.
Yeah.
And well, that can go into a lot of tangents
Hmm.
in terms of like legality and such. But we were actually able to do something of that sort at the Christie's auction.
Okay.
So were you following when Gary sent his artwork to Christie's?
A
Do you
little bit,
remember
not
that
too much
moment?
though. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So in September of 2021, Gary had like built up a lot of excitement about an announcement, and it turned out that he was sending 5 of the original artworks of this VeeFriends to Christie's, which is a centuries old auction house. I think they established in the late 1700s,
Oh,
or early 1800s, and they are respected in the art world as like, it's one of those boxes that
yeah.
an artist can check, and it really signifies that like they've made it. That's problematic because like ultimately an auction house is a marketplace, and like, at that time the art community like kind of really pushed back, and they were like, why are you putting these doodles on a pedestal?
Oh wow, I didn't
Which
know there
kind of
was
shows
pushback.
their insecurity as well, but they make a good point that like just because something sells in an auction house doesn't mean that it should be acclaimed or anything. But nonetheless, um, he made the announcement. There were 5 lots. He sent a draft, an alpha drawing of the empathetic elephant, which became the empathy elephant. And then the other 4 were the actual physical art that were scanned and created into the NFTs. So it was the gratitude gorilla, the diamond hands hen, the you're gonna die fly, and the tremendous tiger.
Okay.
And so this is really cool. And I was on a live stream. I was sharing this with the community. I stream on twitch.tv/VeeFriends.
Oh,
And I know I'm not affiliated with VeeFriends, but I'm holding
yeah.
it for them. And I told them like, you can have this whenever you want it, but they don't yet have a staff to
Okay.
facilitate content there. So when they want it, it's theirs. So anyway, I was streaming, and we are just talking about this, like, okay, this is very interesting. Not what we expected. Okay, yada yada. And I sent out a tweet, and I said, wouldn't it be very cool if we all, I think I said, here's a wild idea. If we all put our money together and bid as a community, like a real 6-figure bid. And, when I put that out there, it really wasn't to win. It was just for the community to have a presence. Like
Yeah.
our community was so strong, like wanted the Christie's community to be aware of it. Thanks to that tweet and thanks to the response that it got, a lot of interest started to pour in. A contract developer came in and was like, I will write your DAO contract for free because I like this endeavor. I hopped on a call with him. His name's Crypto Jesus. He gave me like a full like breakdown of like what this would look like. I got like a crash course in DAOs. I brought that back to everybody else. We started having daily voice chats to try to figure this out. And within 2 weeks, we had like met with multiple lawyers and like considered tax implications and like decided not to build a DAO, but instead to use a multi-sig wallet. And, my biggest concern is that people, we set the lowest buy-in at 0.1 ETH. And my biggest concern was that people would see it and be like, just start throwing ETH at a wallet, not knowing what they were getting into. So we did our own like informal KYC process. It was really impressive. We ended up opening the vault for about 5 days before the auction at the end of September, and we raised $400,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is the power of crypto and the community.
Just by word of mouth, really, some tweets. So yeah, a lot of
Did you end up winning anything?
People.
Because I know a lot of it went towards like the millions of dollars of that.
Yeah, so we actually won the second lot. The first lot we bid up about $150,000, and the second lot we won for $200,000, and we paid $2,500. Or I'm sorry, $250,000 after fees, and that is owned by what is called the VeeFam DAO. At the time, we were the VeeFam, not yet a DAO because we hadn't gotten there yet. We later brought on a legal firm on retainer and established in Wyoming, and we're working toward being a formal Wyoming DAO LLC. The reason I mention all of that is because for legality purpose, for everyone to actually fractionally own that piece, it has to remain a closed network.
Right.
And there were people who heard about it at the last minute who weren't able to get in on that DAO process. And I didn't like the idea that it was a closed network. I understood for legality that it needed to happen, but like my entire thesis in content is like open to everyone. Like you don't need a VeeFriend to be part of the community. Like you can participate here. Like education is free, art is free, like open. Yeah. So some of us within the DAO, we saw an opportunity to create a token-based project that isn't ownership of a vault, but governance. So we're basically a community of art collectors at the VDAO. We're passionate about VeeFriends. We're passionate about blue chip NFTs. We're passionate about community support, education, media, and we provide value to our token holders the same way that most projects do. It's by providing quality information, surprise and delights, and delivering on our promises.
How does one get involved?
The VDAO is still minting. Yeah. We have a little more than 25% of our collection minted. We have a really strong community at like 900 holders. It's 0.05 ETH. It's VEEDAO.io, VDAO.io. I should say, and I'm going to say this every time I mention the name, it's somebody airdropped a scam ERC20 token called VDAO. It's V-DAO. I think it is also .io. So just be aware, if you see a website that's like about gambling and Vcoin, that's not us. It's VEEDAO.io. And you can mint there, or you can buy on OpenSea. It's all the same. One token, one vote. The benefit of minting is like you get the fun of like maybe pulling a rare. Yeah. But yeah, and we're doing these AMAs, which I'm really enjoying. Like yesterday, we got to interview Tyler Hobbs from Fidenza. Tonight, we're interviewing Dustin from Team GaryVee.
Oh, wow.
About like his day-to-day with Gary and what it's like. On Monday, we're interviewing Gary. No.
No way.
Monday is, I'm getting confused now. I think Monday is Julie Pacino, Al Pacino's daughter. And she's got a bunch of projects and things that she's working on her own. Shouldn't minimize her impact
Yeah.
by saying that, but just for context. Tuesday, we're interviewing Gary. Thursday, we're interviewing Avery Akinini from the president of Vayner NFT. So like we get good people, and like that provides a lot of value to folks and gives them a little bit of access.
So is
For the
that like are they the only ones who can see the videos, or they're the only ones who can ask the questions, but then the videos are gonna be on like another platform like YouTube or something, or
Yeah, so for most of them, they're public. They're on Twitter Spaces. For the GaryVee event, it is holders only, and
okay,
we actually have 20 minutes with him. So we're going to be giving away 1 minute to 5 people
okay.
to holders.
So
Yeah,
that is awesome, man. I mean, very interesting story. You went from like teaching and like in the art school. Now you're like a super technical person. That did you?
well,
Well, not super, but you were like I know, like even I remember one of your tweets. You're like I had to do my taxes and I had to tell my accountant like how to do these taxes and stuff for
yeah,
NFTs,
yeah.
which I know a lot of people in the community, but it's pretty crazy where it's come to like, you have to teach accountants and then you're starting a DAO and now you know all these legal stuff. I mean,
Mm.
you'll be surprised like in longer term that people pay a lot of money for starting a DAO, like or how to start a DAO. So that education, that knowledge is definitely is worth something. Not that you should monetize it, right? Just because you know something, you don't have to monetize it, but I'm just saying the perspective of the doors that have opened is just awesome, and it's all just because you got started.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is great. So I am part of the VDAO Discord, but I wasn't very familiar with like kind of what the DAO does, but I'm very intrigued. Would definitely love to be a part of it because I'm very active in the VeeFriends Discord and on Twitter and stuff. Uh, so it definitely would be great to meet more people. But also now with VCon coming up, I mean, you're going to VCon, right?
Oh yeah, of
Should
course.
be should be a good time. So I
Yeah,
know
I can't
we're
wait.
running up on our hour. Do you have to go soon? I know.
No, you're good. I'm just coordinating the next thing. You're good. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We got some time.
Okay.
We're
No,
we're
that's
only we're only like 8 minutes from the hour anyway. So like, let's
okay.
do it.
Um.
What else?
So we're talking about that. What can you give us some advice for our listeners about like what they can do, kind of if somebody wants to get involved in V3, not in VFriends, in Web3, I meant, and like maybe they don't have enough money to like buy an expensive blue chip NFT. But I know what are some ways that people could get involved?
It's free to participate. You know, um, I understand that like participating in like the financial appreciation is the most alluring thing. It's probably why most people are coming to Web3. It's why I did really. Um, but you don't need to own an NFT to be part of a community or to follow their events or do this or that thing. Like, especially if you find a project you're actually into. And it's okay if it's an existing project,
Yeah.
it's something a little more established or something new that's just about to launch. Be careful if you're getting into something that's just about to launch that like there's no language of like this is going to 3x your money really fast, or if the founders are anonymous and they're making a lot of promises, if they have a high mint price, there are some red flags, and you should do 50 to 100 hours of homework to understand some of the cycles that go on with new projects. But VeeFriends is a great example. But I'm trying to think of like a smaller community, like Gutter Cat Gang. Gutter Cat Gang is not a small community by any means, But that's a project where they have multiple entry points. Like you can get into Gutter Cat Gang for point 0.2 ETH right now.
Okay.
You don't need to hold the token, but if you do, it definitely changes the way that you feel. I get that. But like you can go into their Discord, you can go into the Gutter Cat Gang spaces, which are hosted by people who are holders, not really the Gutter Cat Gang itself, and just express that you're like interested in the project. Like you've read the website, you've seen the roadmap for the metaverse they're building, you've seen the new clones that they launched, and you're interested in getting to know the community. And it's completely free to do that. Like it costs time, I get it, but like I think I was able to really make a place for myself in the community by creating content and providing value to people. And if that's interesting to you, then by all means you can do that, because I guarantee you people in the ape community, in the gutter cat community, in the cool cats community, in whatever, root troop, like whatever's coming up next, they're going to love having another place to like verify information. Even if you just took the announcements channel of a project and tweeted it and added a little commentary, that goes a long way. But I mentioned all that because like participation is a very underrated activity. You don't have to be making content to just participate. Get educated, and then take action toward the thing that is interesting to you. You may decide you don't want to be a collector, you want to be a creator. You may decide you don't want to be a creator, you want to be a coder.
Yeah.
So I think you have to really like pick a project, get into it, try to get deep, make some connections within that project. And it's okay to say, hey, I'm new to this, I'm trying to make some connections. Where's the best place to connect? Like nobody's going to fault you for being honest. And then from there, you can learn how many different roles there are in a given project, from moderators to managers to PR, social media, founders, artists. There's so much. So get a sense of that, and then figure out where you want to find yourself. And if you find yourself just wanting to be a collector, then you'll need to get some money.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I think that's great advice because yeah, for a longest time, so at one point I didn't have a VeeFriend. So when the beginning was, I was following it, but I got overwhelmed by the Dutch auction and like the whole thing with the trees. I'm like, okay, and I cannot afford this, so I'll just watch it from afar. And then I was like, wait, I'm not part of this community, so I probably can't participate. At one point, I didn't even know that you can join the Discord for VeeFriends without owning an actual VeeFriend. I was like at that point.
Wow. Wow.
And so I kind of stayed out. I'm like, okay, I'll come back when I can afford this. But then afterwards, once the book games came out, I ended up buying a bunch of book games and getting into the community. I bought like 108 books, I think. I still have like 100
Nice.
left I've been giving out. So if somebody that's watching this needs a book, let
Yeah.
me know and I'll
Amazing.
send it. I'll send it your way. But definitely is that kind of like, start slow. And right now, I mean, obviously, like do what's best for you financially, but the prices are back to kind of, they're lower than when the book games came out. So if somebody
It's
is in
true.
the
Yeah.
VeeFriends community and wants to get involved, now is kind of that great time. And I think the one thing that I try to convey to my friends, they're like, why? So I have the Oak Monster, and they're like, why
Ooh, I
did you?
love that character.
I love it too, and
That's a big character.
I think so. And Gary was very surprised that it was on the floor price for VF2 yesterday. But when people look at my VF1, they're like, this is what you paid money for? Like, is the art? I'm like, first of all, I like the art. Second, if you don't, and what you mentioned before is, you're owning a piece of Gary Vee's business. You have to look at it as if Gary Vee came to me and be like, hey, Antonio, do you want to give me like X amount of money and you can be like my business partner in a way? I'm like, take it all. Like I trust you. I mean, but that's me
Right.
personally. So I think that's the one thing people need to wrap around their head around, like when it comes to like NFTs and stuff. But also, like you said, if you can't afford it, maybe just get involved and just help out on there and post on stuff. And there's a bunch of people giving stuff away for free, like free VCon tickets if you provide some value to the community, or
Mm-hmm.
you can get drop some book game tokens. I mean, why not? I mean, so there's definitely a lot of room to get involved. So
Yeah, there's plenty of opportunity if you're willing to just ask for it.
yeah. So does it ever get overwhelming for you creating all this content? And have you ever had to like, if you don't want to go into it, but like, do you ever have to go like, okay, I'm shutting Twitter off for a day and I'm gonna come back to it? Because I know for me with content creation, sometimes I'm like, okay, this is so many things are happening, I can't keep up with everything. I need to like take the weekend off or something.
Yeah, I could probably stand to take a break a little more often. It doesn't, it hasn't yet gotten there.
That's good.
Um, I feel very much like I'm driving the ship,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't actually feel obligated to do what I'm doing.
I like that.
As more and more people are relying on me to like digest that information, I feel a pressure
Mm-hmm.
to deliver for them, but I don't feel obligated.
Okay.
You know, like I have done a lot of helpful and I've done a lot of helpful and generous things that nobody needs to know about.
Yeah.
But like, I also get a lot of requests of people who are just straight up like asking me for money or asking me for my time, and it's hard to like put a to, to pinpoint what about a message tells me you feel entitled to my time versus you're asking from a place of just
Actual need.
compassion.
Yeah. Compassion.
but I can feel it. And so there have been many times where I can tell someone's entitled to my time, and so I give them the short answer. And there have been other times where like somebody asks me a very like surface level question. They usually will say like, "Hey, I'm so sorry to bother you. I know you're very busy. I really appreciate your time." And like I don't need to be pampered, but like that just shows me like the kind of like intention that they're coming with. And I will go out of my way to like walk them through step by step something so that they're taken
Yeah.
care of. And like scaling that is impossible, but I can do it at the level I'm at. Um and so I like doing that. I like helping people.
Yeah.
And if it ever gets overwhelming, I have the benefit of having a very loving partner who trusts me to do this. Like I think people underestimate. It's fun because like you're right. This podcast is going to be an incredible moment for posterity, for better or for worse. Right?
Yeah.
If NFTs go to shit, then it'll still be great for posterity. But like
Yeah.
I just took a look. VeeFriends are at 9.5 ETH, and there's a lava happy hermit crab for 19 spectacular. Spectaculars are selling at 20. There's a swaggy sea lion at 21, which makes no sense. And it's not that there's not interest in it, it's that there's no liquidity for it. But the reason I say all that beyond getting like that market price in the podcast is um it will be good for people who are fans of mine and who become fans of our community over time to know that none of this is possible without my partner Haley. Like not even a tenth of this is possible.
Well, we're gonna
And
make sure she watches this episode so she can hear this.
I tell her all the time.
Yeah.
She knows. Like it's like I mean it very sincerely, and like I thank her daily because she can you can imagine like I go from one day to the next having not a clue what an NFT is to suddenly I'm feverishly making content. Because like in the early days it was like more.
Yeah.
Now it's a little more like benchmarks. It's like reply to as much as I can on Twitter, do a Twitter Spaces, record a podcast, try to post on Instagram. And I still haven't even worked in TikTok, and there's 7 other things I'd love to do. But like the quantity of my content has actually fallen off tremendously.
Yeah.
But the directed nature of like answering questions and making sure I get back to people is still kept up. And I think that's why people feel like the quality is kind of on a slow incline, even though the reality is the quality has been on a slow down decline. Not to be overly critical, I just like like objectively, if you look at the amount of the quality and quantity of content I was putting out pre-September versus post-September, it's not even close. Like I could be doing way better. But it comes back to what I'm saying is that's what I'm comfortable with right now. I'm having to adjust. I'm having to I've gone full time into NFTs. Like I've had to flip NFTs to make my living, which sucks. Like for other people, I'm sure it's really great. For me, it totally sucks because I like the things I'm holding. I never want to sell them. Which is why I'm releasing an NFT and to try to allow the community to pay me a salary, and we'll see what they land on. Anyway, all of that to say, yes, I like what I'm doing. No, it's not overwhelming. I get actually very recharged by helping people. And if it ever becomes overwhelming, I can just stop,
Oh yeah, that's a good position to be in. And I mean, I like the thing what you're doing good. You started it kind of like as a hobby. But there's nothing wrong with monetizing that and making sure like, well, I'm bringing value to you. And you're not forcing anybody to pay you, right? Like my content, most of my content is gonna be free. But if you want to help me out and I provide value to you, then you can tip me, I know, or you can buy this NFT, and I will continue doing that. And that's the thing I've always like, and a lot of the people I've talked to on uh, is you you build out content for free, and then you've been giving out so much value for free, then when it does come, you need something and you need to get paid or something, it feels awkward at first. You're like, I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe I'll charge. I have a good friend of mine who he's always giving out content away, like data science content um, on what's it called on LinkedIn, and then
Mm.
people told him that he got to a point where he wanted to do consulting, but he felt so bad he would charge him basically nothing. I'm like, okay, other people are charging like $300-400 an hour, which you could be getting too, but you're doing it for $50 an hour. Like you have to, like get over that. Like you've done your part. You're still doing your part, but there's nothing wrong with monetizing some of it because we are all here to make a living. As you know, but I think that's a good way. So I want to end this podcast with a little lightning round, fun questions I can ask you, so you can like
Cool.
just give me the quick answer,
Oh
and
boy.
like you can go from there. Yeah. So let's see. So I was honestly, I want to test this out because I'm thinking about at VCon. I'm trying to meet as many people as I can, right? That's what we're gonna be there for.
Yeah.
Um, and I was thinking about like maybe I would honestly thinking about standing in front of the stadium and just as people walk by, just ask them some questions, like a little like fun thing.
That's cool.
Um,
You have how are you going to do your recording on the go? Do you have
honestly, I could just do it with my phone and just get a nice light or something. I was thinking about it, like in
yeah,
terms
okay.
of
Yeah. Yeah,
but
I was thinking about bringing a legit microphone. Like
yeah,
I have a boom mic with a little handheld recorder. So it's kind of it kind of feels like a news anchor mic.
yeah,
It's a little unruly, but it's the kind of thing where it feels good to have it. It's like I'm telling my story. Okay. Anyway, go on. Keep going. There's so much I have to figure out for VCon. In fact, that's like my main, in addition to three other things that are top of mind today, like my main priority is ordering stickers. Like I've been trying to make something to hand out to people, and I just totally just got distracted from it.
I know, and it's coming around the
Reminded
corner.
me, I
It's like
really need to
two
do
weeks
that.
from now we're gonna be in Minneapolis, and
It's gonna be crazy.
I know. I'm like, what am I gonna like? I need some cool shirts. Like,
What am I gonna wear?
can I print an oak monster on here? Like,
You can. You just can't sell it.
can't sell it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're aware of the intellectual property situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that, and honestly, I'm okay with that because a lot of I know this is like going beyond like what we were talking about, but like Bored Ape and some other give you IP access. You can do whatever you want with it. With VeeFriends, you
Yeah.
don't. And I'm totally okay with that. Like, let Gary run his business. I'm gonna here be enjoying the community, you know, and just doing my thing. But I don't.
Yes.
I love me my paper hands pony. I don't know. It's not a. I know it's not a VeeFriend, but the paper hands pony for some reason is just like my favorite.
Such a
I
great
don't.
character.
Yeah.
Honestly, everyone's really unsure. This is we have the word alpha in the space. So like
Yeah.
for anybody who's like not in the Web3 space, if you hear the word alpha, it is one of the most bastardized words there has ever been. Like it originally emerged to mean like basically insider info. It's like alpha is like either by speculation or by confirmation, some information that can provide a leg up. Like if you knew that Yuga Labs was going to acquire Punks, then it was alpha to know that. And it may or may not be in your best interest to like buy me bits or whatever, or buy Punks.
Or some call it insider trading, but you can call it if you know
Well,
it. Yeah.
yeah, but it's not. But yeah, but there's a difference between insider info
Right.
and insider trading, right? Like beyond the fact that we don't have regulation for insider trading in the space, which eventually will come up and is definitely an issue. Like, like I can get alpha, quote unquote, insider info from just watching what Gary says. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. He had been pumping up patient lava in book games. He had like come in with like really fiery that one day and was like, if you're patient with your fire, you'll get what you desire. He linked to patient lava. There was a run on the token. It moved from like 0.3 up to like 1 ETH and back down. And then it was around half an ETH. And for weeks, we were speculating like, what does it mean that patient lava lets you burn first? Does it need to be in your frame set? Is it a power up to burn? Like, how does it let you cut the line, and which one do you need? Does it have like all of these things? And then we didn't know it was coming, but they were just about to release the exact burn requirements for the new 15 characters for Series 2. And for everybody not following along, Book Games is a deflationary collection where you can burn assets for other assets. And so there's these new 15 characters in Series 2, and the only way to get them was to burn Book Games, but we didn't know which ones or how many. And they were just about to release it. And the day that was happening, Gary was in the Discord, and he said, he was asked about Patient Slava, and somebody said, I only have one. And he said, it won't be enough. And I was of the opinion that it was going to be part of your set. Like if you had the one Patience Lava, that there would be like a secondary rarity requirement in addition to the matching frames, one Patience Lava, and you get priority.
That's what I thought. So I had Galaxy frames, and then I ended up buying a Galaxy Patience Lava, and I had Rainbow frames. I ended up buying a Rainbow Patience Lava.
Same. I went out. I had a Rainbow Patience Lava from Mint, but I bought a Gold Patience Lava because I had the most in gold frames.
Yeah.
But then he said that in the Discord, and it must have been clear that they were, I think he had already said they were going to release it soon. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, shit. And I ran to my computer and I listed my Rainbow Patience Lava. I could have listed my gold too, but I listed my Rainbow Patience Lava at over an ETH. Well above the rainbow floor, but below the Rainbow Patience Lava floor. And, I'm sorry to have created a bag holder there because somebody bought that before seeing the announcement that like one wasn't enough, way overpaid for my Patience Lava. And I rolled that into a regular rainbow frame and a second token. Right. And it was a big win for me. But that's a perfect example because like that's not insider trading.
That's not insider trading. Yeah.
But it takes like, but it is nuanced knowledge, right? So it is
pay
that
attention. Yeah.
It is so when people say alpha, they want to mean like valuable information, but really it just means information at this point because it gets thrown around somewhere like, what's the alpha on that? Like, do you have any alpha on this? Like they're looking for the thing to make them money, but it's now become interchangeable with information. That was really
what's
big.
The alpha on Oak Monster, and it would be like somebody would link a thing to GaryVee saying something like,
in Wine Library
wow,
TV
I like Oak Monster. Like, okay, that's not alpha, like it's nothing.
Yeah, exactly. It's ironic. I said all that about alpha because I had some alpha to offer and I got so far away from it that I forgot what it was. It was
Okay,
a brand new thought.
let us hear it.
I'm
Oh, you
I'm not
forgot what
sure
it
I'll remember it now. We were talking
is?
about I it was literally brand new. I was just putting it together. It wasn't about book games, I don't
We were talking
think.
about VCon before.
We were talking about VCon. Yeah, I think it was about VCon. Or here's a little VCon alpha. Come to the Thursday night pre-party and get a photo with GaryVee, because he's going to have a selfie line. He's going to be
No way.
taking pictures with as many people as possible at the Commons at 5 p.m. and 5 to 10, and get that out of the way first. That way,
Yeah.
he's already checked off your list. There's also some community events. The VDAO's having an event after that at 10 p.m. And then and before that is another event, community event. I don't know the name of it, but it's at like a castle mansion type of
I
situation.
saw somebody posted on Twitter something about it. Yeah. So I didn't know about the Gary V, like the he's gonna take pictures with people, so that would be awesome.
Yeah, well, his goal is to meet every single person, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of people, and so they're front loading that event with his photos. Oh, that's too bad. I thought the alpha was pretty good, but I
Yeah.
can't remember what it was now. It was actually alpha. Like it was like it's not financial advice.
Yeah.
It's not confirmed, but it might be. It might be a
Is it
thing.
something around the paper hands pony? Because if you know something around that,
It is. It is the paper hands pony.
all right.
What I was going to say, and look, this is the kind of alpha that is like it's not confirmed,
Yeah.
and it could go either way, but a lot of people are bearish on VeeFriends right now. A lot of people, long term, are bullish, but very few people are putting their ETH into VeeFriends to think that they could flip it in the short term,
Hmm.
because this is just a long process of developing IP and media and comics and movies and all the rest. And book games is about ready to fall, because the only thing sustaining it right now is the new character burn and GaryVee mega fans
Hmm.
who are like, book games are forever. It doesn't matter if these become worthless, because eventually they'll be better.
Yeah.
So after the new character burn on May 31st, it's highly expected that they'll fall even farther, which is kind of amazing, because that'll be an all-time low for book games.
Yeah.
However, I will say, if there's going to be a divergence in valuation, it's the paper hands pony. I would say even more so than the koala, where I think we could see, I don't know where that liquidity comes from, but we could see book games continue to trend down overall, but post VCon that the paper hands pony trends up.
Yeah.
And that could be from something Gary says at VCon. It could just be the timing of things. But I just have this feeling like if you're looking to get a paper hands pony under 3, you might be better off doing it before VCon. So like I said, it's not confirmed. I don't know.
Right.
Anything could happen. But I just feel like they're bottoming out pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't know when the thing is gonna go because I was like, if I had some liquidity, I want to buy the paper hands pony because right now, if I sell, so I have 10 pearl frames that I want to go for 2 of the devils.
Nice.
That's a 40% chance, assuming all enter. I don't know what the percentages are of the people who are eligible so far who are entering into stuff. But if I sell all of those, if I sell them at 0.5, that's what is it, 10, half
Just
5
5 ETH.
ETH. So then I can buy like one paper hands pony, maybe one koala. Is that better than 2 devils? I'm not sure. Because Gary V did say that the Red Devil is one of the new characters who could be up there with the VF1s. So I don't want to regret
Yeah,
that.
which doesn't make any sense to me.
Right
It
now,
doesn't
it's
make
very
any sense.
tough because the new characters are going for very cheap. The competitive clown was at like 1.9 or something low like that for a new character. I thought it was,
Yeah, but that's still more than double the floor.
yeah. So I'm at a very tough position because I love my paper hands pony. I'm like, and you know what it is? When you have one of them, let's say Gary tomorrow announces something, paper hands pony goes to like 20 ETH. I cannot sell it or because you only have one, you don't want to be left. So if I have
Right.
at least like if I have three or four, I could always take some money out if I need to, and like kind of like that. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where I want to be. I think that's the one
I,
lesson I learned about
I
like.
will say, I think the paper hands pony is a little simpler than it seems. I think it's just, I don't know what comes of it, but I just think the longer you hold it, the better it is.
mm, Paper hands will pony up. I don't know. People are speculating. At one point, it was very funny because people are like, "There's gonna be these horse games, and you're gonna have to race your pony or something." I'm like, I don't think that one's it, but I like the theory because people are always like guessing what it's gonna be.
And I do think the paper hands pony is a V friend,
You think
even though
so?
it's a book games
Oh,
character. I think it's still a V friend.
oh yeah, yeah. But we don't know like what the I guess the like Tiny Ogre. I think people are right. Something about like going back to 2011 or 20 whatever was the mint date, and you're gonna get something the Koala 2025 if you're able to get like the keynote or maybe Gary's 50th birthday party or something. But the Paper Hands
Yeah,
Pony is like I think the one that it's very like vague on what
it's
people are
throwing
really
people
thinking.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very interesting, man. I'm definitely long term. I'm that if the Paper Hands Pony falls to like half an each, I'm not selling and I'm buying like all of the ones that I can and the whole thing
Awesome.
goes. So
That's
so
awesome.
let's do
But
this
your
lightning
lightning
round.
round. Yeah, go
My
ahead.
lightning round. All right. So do this quickly. Let's see how long should we do this for. We're gonna do. Um, I'm gonna test this out because this is gonna be my practice round. So I'm gonna set 55 seconds because everything with fives Gary V likes, and I'll ask you questions unless I run out of them. All right. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Yes.
All right. What's your favorite V friend that you own?
The Heart Trooper.
What's your favorite V friend that you don't own?
The Forever Phoenix.
If you could be friends with one V friend, which one would you be friends with?
Mm, the Entrepreneur Elf.
Oh wait, where am I thinking? V friends 2 or book game tokens?
Book games.
Um, favorite frame,
Rainbow.
favorite Broadway show.
Favorite Broadway show?
Yes.
Um, the what was it called? The Inheritance.
Heard it. Never heard of that one. Koala 2025 or Paper Hands Pony.
Paper Hands Pony.
And if you could be one V friend for a day, which one would you be?
If I could be one V friend for a day, I would be the Sorcerer Scholarship.
I like that. Awesome. That was a little bit more than 55 seconds, but that was the last question when I asked you was the 55-second mark. So
Nice.
that is awesome. If I could be one V friend, I will be the blobfish. I just think that one is so cool.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a meme someday for sure.
yes. So I really appreciate you taking the time, Jeremy. I definitely learned a lot. I know other people are gonna love to hear your story because we get to see your heart trooper and you help everybody so much. I really appreciate it because you're the one who when I posted about I was deciding which of my first V friends to buy and I was going between the Oak Monster and there was one more. I don't remember which one it was. Was it the Peacock or something? I think it was the Peacock. And when I asked, I think you said you told me to look back onto 2015 and look at the Gary Vee's wine show, and he talks about the Oak Monster in there, and I just fell in love with it. I'm like, all right, I'm going
Mm,
with the Oak Monster, and I'm very
nice.
happy with my thing. And you guys always drop some good stuff, like you said, you dropped the alpha, and I've been able to do some good book game moves. So I really appreciate you. I know everybody in the community appreciates you. So I was really excited when you said, okay, let's do this. So thank you for coming to the show.
It's been my pleasure.
All
Yeah,
right.
I can't wait to listen back to it in a few years.
Yes, in 20 years, we're gonna talk about the paper hands pony and how much what it is, if we guessed it or not. So,
Hmm.
thank you, Jeremy.